Hey Steve, hey Lisa, this is Wayne. Carrie is actually behind the camera taking video. She thought it made sense, and I agreed to show you how, or what our approach is to these Pelican boxes. It's not rocket science, but we have done it once or twice. We've got about 4 of these things, I think. Anyway, I wanted to show you how I travel with my little gun. I've got my concealed gun, which I take with me on the road, and it comes pretty much like this when I'm on the road. I've got a box that has a couple of locks. They're already undone, just for time's sake. Pull these out, flip this up, and you'll see that's how I carry my gun. It's got a magazine, usually that's empty, and my piece, not loaded. So anyway, so how do I do this? Pretty straightforward. Most of these boxes are constructed very similarly. And that is, they have an insert. In these inserts, what you'll notice is they're already pre-perforated. And so what you want to do is you'll have a completely square outline. You're going to want to take your gun, again, making sure that it's unloaded and pointed in a safe direction, finger off the trigger, all of that. You're going to want to get an idea of what the general outline of your gun is. Pro tip, figure out the way you want this to go, right? I wanted mine to go this way. So what did I do? I pulled this whole thing out, flipped it upside down, pointed it the other direction, and traced it out. You can kind of sort of see the, the marker where I traced around it. And what you end up with is you end up working your hand down through there, separating it, and you shove out this big block. And so you end up with this. And this is a block for my gun, for some ammunition, and for my magazine. These I tossed. This here, I actually don't want it. I don't want my gun sitting all the way deep down in here. That doesn't make any sense for me. So I took the blocks that were there. And stood it up like this. Held it pretty firmly and got a bread knife and just cut it like a loaf of bread. Now, the trick here is to move quickly. If you have an electric one, that's even better. All right, once that's done, reinsert that the way you want it. Press it down in there. And there you go. You got a nice little bed. This fits in here much nicer, much neater. Fits almost flush with the top. This fits exactly where I want it. My ammunition in the original box. Has to be original. Fits in there perfectly. And this closes. This works for guns and it works for other things as well. One of the things you'll notice here, this is a radio that my lovely wife bought for me for Christmas last year. This works for any one of a number of things. And you'll notice that I use the exact same method. All right, you pull this out, cut out the outline that you want, take the remainder. It's actually not even that neat. Doesn't have to be. Right? Cut it down to the size that you want it. And the pro move here was this. This goes right back down in place. The pro move here was this goes back in, and so now I've got my radio sitting exactly where I want it to be. But you know what? I could go over the top here, and I cut that same block down again for a little tiny one. It fits right there. How snug is that? Oop. So there, I've got a very expensive radio that can take a fair amount. So that's our approach. Essentially it's cutting out the general outline, taking the block out, cutting it down to the depth that you want your gun to sit. Ideally you want to measure the gun, figure out how deep it needs to sit, cut it down, set it down in there, set the gun on, you're good to go. That's it. I hate that.